I am Ruth-Ann Thorn, and I've been an art dealer for more than 2 decades, working with artists from all over the world. I've always wondered, do artists create from within, or are they influenced by their surroundings? And why do they choose where they live? What do they get from their environment? If they were to live somewhere else, would their art be different? These are the questions we will answer as we explore cities across the country in Art of the City. I'm here in New Orleans in the French Quarter, and I'm getting ready to realize one of my great dreams, which is to meet the artist James Michalopoulos. He's been such an important artist here in New Orleans and has impacted the city, and now I'm going to get to go in and meet him and check out his studio, so come with me.
I came to New Orleans about 35 years ago, and what drew me to New Orleans was its totally unusual character, its unique architecture, the very special individuality of the smaller homes and how they constitute a built environment that's like none other. Plus, on top of that, you know, you have this amazing culture, a culture of celebration. So this is a city which spends a lot of its time giving thanks. Thanks for what we've got.
So when you moved here 35 years ago, give or take, were you doing art then? Okay, so you were an artist at that point.
Yeah, but one of the things that attracted me to the city was that there was a vibrant art community on the street. And so Jackson Square in particular became a kind of a school for me, a place where I would go and I would watch people work, and I could learn new techniques and meet other artists. And so it was, a place where I took a lot of inspiration.
One of the great things about you being in New Orleans is that you have extracted things from the city, and we're seeing that on the canvas. You know, you see all of these great street scenes, and you know, it's just really vibrant and exciting, and everybody that comes through the city, they're going to see one of your works.
There was a period in my early development where I spent a lot of time just mastering the particular details of something. And then at some point I decided to release that, let go of it, and go my own way. And at that point, you know, I began to experiment and to listen to, if you will, my own muse, and develop my own voice. So in a way, I felt very influenced by the music, and I kind of felt that I would be able to express the local scene and incorporate aspects of that. What I do is I spend most of my year here in New Orleans, but in the summer, when it gets really hot, I go to France. And I have a home in France, and I'm in the countryside. So I'm in a village of 45 people, surrounded by nature, thousands of acres of cows and trees and that kind of thing. So I end up invariably being influenced by my environment, and I begin to paint what's around me.
The artists that we see in museums, you know, we go see the great Impressionists that happen to all reside pretty near where your second home is. And the things that we see that were extracted from that environment at that time, you know, the Moulin Rouge, and you see all of this action that was happening in Paris. And I always thought, well, if those folks lived somewhere else, would we see that same artwork? And we probably wouldn't have. Do you feel that way about being in here in New Orleans? Had you moved to Chicago or, you know, wherever else?
Well, I definitely think that your environment impacts you, but that people have certain characters too. And so I think Cezanne probably would have done great work in Louisiana, even though he didn't have mountains to play with. And I think Lautrec would have prefigured work that was in a way similar to what he did in Paris. He would have found some of the same cultural inspiration here in the city. So people find their way.
What happened to the liquor?
Drank it. Yeah.
Okay.
There's more where that came from.
All right.
Here's another one. This is called 1718, which is the year the city was born. And so this is a rum that actually was aged in Spanish casks, which refers to our Spanish history, and it has French oak also involved in the process, and finally Louisiana cane. So the three things melange, it's a melange of the three that we think speaks to the origin of the city. Sure.
Okay, so we're going to have to try this a little later.
Yeah, that'd be
when
great.
we get off. That's great. So people commission you to do labels, and this is what you refer to as consumer work?
Something like that,
Okay,
but I own the
great.
distillery, so.
all
And this is
right.
the oldest rum factory in the United States, the oldest distillery in the United States. So we've been
terrific.
making rum in this spot for roughly 30 years now, and this is one of our last products there.
James Michalopoulos is an incredible artist, and he is the one that has really captured the energy of the city. As you can see back here, the color, the nightlife, the movement, and going into his studio and watching him paint, wow, what a treat. And now we're going to be able to see what he's bringing next, which is this artist studio where artists are going to be able to come from all over the world and paint right here and give back to New Orleans. What an amazing artist and man, and someone who really thinks a lot about how his work affects the world.
Like the workspace that we're creating is a studio workspace for all different types of artists, and there will be over 200 of them working in this spot.
That's great.
Yeah.
I mean, that's needed, and that's where the baton is kind of handed on to that next generation, especially here in this city, because you've had such a huge impact.
So it's, really very self-satisfying also.
So that's the future. Any other aspirations of things that you haven't tackled? Because you've tackled a lot. You've got sculpture, painting. Now you're doing an architectural piece. I think I missed something in there.
The rum.
That's it. You
Distillation.
got the rum,
Yeah.
right? Of course.
Yeah.
What else would you like to expand to with your creativity?
I really love doing the art, and I'm not in any way over it. Still rocking and really enjoying it on a daily basis. So it's a tough regime to give up. 150 years from now, when I look back, I will say, wow, that's really great that this is still kicking.